Good afternoon, good afternoon. Um, Good afternoon. Just waiting for some of y'all to get on in here. Just gonna wait a little bit for some of y'all to come on in here. Good afternoon, good afternoon. Good afternoon. Let me go ahead and get started. Today we're gonna be talking about a shocking case. Just happened in Chicago on October 27th, 2004. Allegedly, there was a wife that was pushed out of a 24-story building by her husband. With that being said, let me quit talking and let's get it.
Hello everyone and welcome back to another live stream with me, Gizella K. This is Grizzly True Crime, and today we're going to be discussing the case of Caitlin Tracy, who died in Chicago when she fell 24 stories from a high-rise building, and it's alleged that her husband threw her over the railing, her estranged husband. So, this case comes with a trigger warning. It will discuss themes of domestic violence. It's really sad. And now he's been charged with murder. Kind of finally. If we look at the timeline, then it's like, oh, finally he's charged with murder. Oh my goodness. So please like and share so that others can also learn about this case, follow the case with us. I can't wait for this guy to go to trial.
Tap screen.
Oh my goodness. So let's start with our presentation here that I've made for you. Okay. So that we can find out what happened here, what led to this. So Caitlin Walsh Tracy was born on May 29th of 1988 in New Buffalo, Michigan. She attended Our Lady of Sorrows Grade School and Mercy High School, both in Farmington Hills, Michigan. She became a Spartan, attending Michigan State University, where she graduated just 3 years with a business degree in hospitality management. In 2024, she was a 36-year-old, very successful tech executive who worked as the chief people officer at Nuso, hope I said that right, an AI consultancy firm. She was known to her family and friends as a vibrant person, and her parents, Andrew and Dr. Monica Tracy, have publicly expressed their deep grief over her loss, stating that they and her friends dearly miss her. So again, this case involves themes of domestic violence, so just know that. If it ever gets too much for you, just know we'll always save you a seat, right? I know there's lots of survivors of domestic violence in this community. Just know that you are not alone. So how did this relationship start? So in October of 2022, Caitlin and Adam, his name is Adam Bedering. She was 33 and he was 44. They started dating. Now it's unclear. I tried to find exactly how they met, but the only thing I could find is that there's some reports that say that they met at the high-rise building where he lived and where Caitlin had lived with her ex-husband. So she had been married before, and she was divorcing that ex-husband, and she had met this guy along the way. So they start dating in October of 2022. Now he, Adam Bedering, was a prominent Chicago-based tax attorney who was a partner at the law firm Dwayne Morris LLP. And she was a tech executive, so it's like a very successful couple, right? And so they start their relationship. And just look at that, October 2022. Okay, now look at the next
Tap
text.
screen, tap screen, tap screen, please,
So
please
this is
tap
the
screen.
high-rise building where they lived and where Caitlyn was allegedly thrown over the railing. That is frightening, from like the 24th floor. Oh my goodness. So this is at South Prairie Avenue in Chicago, Illinois. This is public record. Just a YouTube disclaimer, I'm not sharing any addresses that I'm not supposed to be sharing. It's all public record, part of court documents, part of all the media reports in a homicide case. Karen Riley says, so happy to be a Grizzly. Thank you, Karen, for being a member for 2 months. Okay, so this is just an example. It's not their house specifically. It's just an example I found of, what these condos look like, where they lived. Okay, yeah, someone says, Ashley R says that is scarily high. I know, right? Oh my goodness. So in July of 2023, remember, started dating October 2022, okay? July of 2023. Within 9 months, there were initial reported incidents of physical and emotional abuse, and that's when it began, including assaults at various locations. Adam's Chicago apartment, Caitlyn's Michigan home, and a hotel. So she had a home in Michigan. He had this home at this high-rise building, and she would travel between the two. Now these form the basis for later protective order filings. October 2023, 1 year before Caitlyn's death, she files a protective order. October 4th of 2023, she filed an order of protection in Cook County, Illinois, citing 4 specific incidents of physical and verbal abuse. For example, strangling, suffocating, slamming her head against a cabinet,
Damn.
headlocks, preventing her from leaving. Like, this escalated so quickly from meeting to domestic violence, from meeting to coercive control. So I wonder how much love bombing went on, which is a typical pattern for these coercive controllers. Must have been a lot of love bombing in the beginning, and then it just changed. There was a huge shift where he became incredibly abusive. So
Yeah,
she
when did
expressed
it
fear for her
change?
safety. The order was initially granted, but later withdrawn by her after Adam threatened to sue her for defamation. She also told neighbors, friends, and family that she feared that Adam would kill her. Oh man. So it's a case, unfortunately it's textbook coercive control and domestic violence. This is terrible, So yeah, she had told family and friends that she was really scared that he was going to kill her. Now, trigger warning, I'm going to read you some details from the protective order. July 11th of 2023, she wrote, he threw a pickle jar at my head, punched me, pulled my hair, and stripped me out of my clothes. She further alleged that Adam poured vodka on her wounds, which caused severe burning, and threatened to hit her with the bottle. August 21st of 2023, she described being dragged by the ankle, strangled, and slammed against a cabinet at his Chicago apartment. She said he also confiscated her phone, keys, and wallet to prevent her from leaving or seeking help. September 20th of 2023, he attempted a sexual assault and berated her for hours at the Ritz-Carlton in Chicago. Can you believe this? Oh my goodness. Now, January 2024, there was a domestic violence incident at Caitlyn's home in New Buffalo, Michigan. Adam was arrested for domestic violence. Specific details include physical assault. This is one of 2 Michigan arrests in 2024. Court records show officers responding to the January incident observed Tracy, that's Caitlyn Tracy, with cuts on her lips and other red markings. She alleged that Beckering assaulted her and stole some of her belongings. So he was going to have a trial for this domestic abuse. So I wanted to show you this clip here. Again, trigger warning, this whole case, okay, trigger warning, domestic abuse. Because here they show some body cam. And this says August 19th of 2024. Okay.
The screams of a husband charged with domestic abuse captured on police body camera video echo through a Berrien County, Michigan courtroom. Pinned to the floor by police officers, Adam Beckering wails for help as his wife, Caitlyn Tracy, lays nearby on the bed in tears. This was August 19th, 2024. It was Tracy who had called for help, pleading again for police intervention from a husband she'd sought protective orders against. A New Buffalo police officer testified it happened repeatedly.
We seek justice in all of our domestic violence cases, regardless of whether a victim is able or willing to come forward and testify. Obviously, in this case, our victim is unable, due to tragedy, to come forward.
With agreement from a judge, these videos will now be the only chance for Caitlin Tracy to tell her story of alleged abuse.
She was afraid to be in the house alone because he had accosted her in every room in the house.
Beckering's defense attorney fought to withhold the body camera footage.
What Miss Tracy said to you was that you did not have consent to come into the house. That's what she had stated to you.
2 months after this chaotic arrest of Adam Beckering last August, Chicago police found Caitlin Tracy's body at the bottom of a stairwell in the South Loop building where her husband lives. The Cook County medical examiner ruled her manner of death undetermined. The report details multiple skull and rib
Tap
fractures
screen,
and
tap
the
screen, tap
traumatic
screen, please.
amputation of the
Please
right
tap
lower
screen.
leg. Tracy's family and their attorney sat in the court's front row, feet away from the man they say tormented her.
Her family continues to believe in the strength of the legal system and remains confident that justice will be served for Caitlin both in Michigan and in Chicago.
As today's hearing ended, Adam Beckering left the courtroom handcuffed on contempt charges for what a Berrien County judge ruled were violations of his bond. Beckering is under a court-ordered 24/7 curfew and monitoring for alcohol and drug use. The judge said Beckering failed the drug test, and Chicago police were called to his apartment last month because he was intoxicated and harassing an employee at the condo building. So far, a trial date has not been set for the abuse charges.
Okay, so that was just for the abuse charges, right? So back to, that was August 2024. We just saw videos from that, right? From that body cam. So back to, if we look at January of 2024, domestic violence incident at Caitlin's home. This was a very adorable home in New Buffalo, Michigan, and Adam was arrested for DV, right? And yeah, Caitlin had tried to get help every time. So, April 8th of 2024, they got married in a private ceremony without any of Caitlin's family members present. Oh man, that is so sad. You know, domestic violence victims try to leave statistically at least 7 times. And so you could see that cycle, you know, probably the love bombing, abuse, all of that. She went back to him mid-2024. The body cam we just saw was August 2024. So they got married April, and by August he already started abusing her again. So her parents allege this isolation was part of Beckering's strategy to control her. We begged her not to marry him, said Monica Tracy, her mother, adding that Caitlin kept insisting he would change. So, it's not a victim blame. It's just to point out, abusers like this, they do not change.
They don't.
It does not get better. Especially Laura Richards, who is an expert in domestic violence, stalking, coercive control. Her channel is called Crime Analyst. Her podcast is called the same. You can check that out. She's also got courses. And she'll say, if an abuser puts their hands around your neck, it's like the next step is homicide. It never gets better. So, oh man, as much as they try to convince you, run, right? Safely. One has to leave very safely. The most dangerous time for a victim of domestic abuse is when they want to leave. So one has to do that very safely and not tell the abuser, right? No, for sure. Thank you for being a member for 27 months. You said, I'm finally back in Japan and glad to have time to be back as a full-time grizzly. That is so awesome. Thank you so much. So yes, they met in October of 2022. There was lots of abuse in 2023. Somehow he convinced her to marry him April 8th of 2024. And her family said, we're just not going to be there. We're not supporting this. And she said she really believes he's going to change. So, a few months later, that's April, May, June, July, August, 4 months later.
Tap screen, please. Please tap screen.
Adam was arrested again for domestic violence and cell phone while she attempted to call for help. This led to charges for domestic violence and contempt of court for violating bond conditions. Caitlin's parents say she changed a lot in the relationship with Adam, and they felt that she was systematically alienated from her family and he subjected her to repeated physical and psychological abuse, which is in the category of domestic violence, but also coercive control, right? And so they described Adam as a man who targeted our daughter and manipulated her into a life of fear. They stated that Caitlin had confided in them about the abuse, describing how Betterink often called her up to 20 times a day, issuing threats or verbal abuse. My goodness. Like, this guy, he sounds next level, right? Okay. So, let me just see what other clip I've got here for you. We're going to look at more clips as well. October 25th of 2024. Let me just quickly see. Yeah, we're going to look at that after. Okay. So, October 25th of 2024. On Friday, October 25th of 2024, a criminal complaint alleges that Adam Beckerink murdered they were apparently estranged, and he had apparently convinced her to come and visit. So she went there to visit. The drive, if you drive it, it's what, how long is it? An hour and a half? Hour 43 from her house to his place. So it's not far. So the criminal complaint alleges that Adam Beckerink murdered his wife Caitlin Tracy by throwing her over the railing of the 24th floor of the east stairwell of 1201 South Prairie Avenue, the South Loop condo building where Adam lived. That's apparently where they met as well, right? She had fallen more than 24 stories to her death, resulting in multiple...
I gotta pause this for a second. In case y'all don't know, a story is between 10 to 15 feet. So we about to do some math here. Once I find my calculator out. Each story is like between 10 to 15 feet. So the average ceiling is 10 feet, but high ceilings are 15 feet. So let's do 15 times 24. This woman fell, according to the math, at least 300 to 60 feet, between 360 feet to 345 feet to her death. Are y'all hearing me? This woman fell at least between 360 feet to 345 feet. I just want y'all to pay attention to that. Let's get back into this.
"24 stories to her death, resulting in multiple injuries from the fall, with her body being described as pulverized." On October 27th, that's 2 days later, a tenant found Caitlin's severed foot in the stairwell of the building. They called the police. The police came out to look. They saw her foot. Then they looked around the building and they found her body at 7:20 p.m. at the bottom of the stairs. That is so hectic. So just think of that. He's accused of throwing her over the railing. What do you think he does? I'm going to tell you in a moment. Kayla Marie says, thank you for all your hard work, Gisela. Thank you so much for your $20 sticker. What does he do? Overword the next day, the day after he's accused of throwing her over the railing, right? So I'm sure his defense is going to say she jumped over the railing. That's what I'm saying. Accused of, he is innocent or proven guilty in a court of law, but he's charged with murder and he's accused of throwing her over that railing. The next day, he calls the police and he reports his estranged wife missing, and he claims he hasn't seen her in weeks or a month.
Really, dude?
But here we go with the dumb criminal again, as always.
And FYI, I think she just said earlier that they have cameras in this particular building. So yeah, he's really a dumb criminal.
They're like, dude, we checked the surveillance video and we literally saw you together on October 24th of 2024. Okay, that's like the day before she was killed, okay? Oh my word, what a jackass. He's calling the police to report
World-class
missing.
jackass.
Really worried about my wife. Haven't seen her in weeks.
Idiot.
That's October 26th. They didn't even find her body yet. The next day, a tenant found a severed foot. How disturbing is that as well? The poor tenants too, right? And then police find her body. Ash Beach says, Mr. G, been busy, but I'm back. Great work. Thank you so much for your sticker. Oh my word. Look at him. Wow. Stefan said tax lawyers can be dumb criminals too. Now, Adam was initially detained for questioning, but he was released within 48 hours without any charges. So, of course, they had to investigate. They got to build their case so they can hopefully successfully prosecute. I think they'll be able to. November of 2024. This guy embarked on a legal battle with Caitlin's parents over her remains. He fought that he wants her body. Whoa. So her
That's
parents petitioned
weird.
courts in Michigan and Cook County, Illinois, and they were granted custody, allowing them to bury her in Michigan. Adam was excluded from inheritance and burial details. Like, he'll take it that far? He will try to abuse her, her body, her family after death too? He'll be like, her body's mine. Oh my goodness, her poor parents. Dwayne Morris, the law firm where Adam was a partner, have terminated his partnership after the details of Caitlin's case emerged, saying, this is a shocking and tragic case. We were unaware of the allegations until recent media reports. Adam is no longer associated with our firm. On March 7th of 2025, Adam was arrested at a Chicago South Loop condo on an outstanding warrant from Michigan. Reports indicate the violation involved missing a pre-trial hearing and a trial in October 2024. So there's the red flag, okay? Following the arrest, he appeared in court hearings on March 8th and March 10th of 2025, where he agreed to extradition to Michigan. Now, his bond violation was a result of his failure to show at a pre-trial hearing in Michigan just 1 week before Tracy's death. That is so sad, you know. Just 1 week. He was supposed to go to this pre-trial hearing to face these DV charges. We've actually seen cases like this, right? It almost reminds me of Dr. Amy Horowitz case. Do you remember that guy, Gareth Pursehouse? Yeah, that was a stalker, coercive controller, but that was his ex. In this case, his strange wife, so almost ex, but he had to go and face the courts for these DV charges. And just 1 week before that, he was supposed to, and then Caitlin is killed. Molly G said, gotta love the dumb ones. Yeah, I know, right? Janine says, this idiot will definitely testify. Should we already do a poll? Okay, I'm not gonna do one now. When we watch trials together, which we do a lot, make sure you go and check out the trials that we've watched together. We just recently watched one as well. Yeah, then we always speculate, is this jackass? Is this jackass going to testify, huh? Oh my word. Okay. So, yeah, in March he was taken into custody by Chicago police as a fugitive from justice and ordered back to Michigan.
Tap screen, please.
Okay, so, sorry, this is trigger warning because we're going to discuss what happened to, what the autopsy revealed. Let's quickly show you this clip though first.
Warrant out for the arrest of Adam Beckering for the murder of his 36-year-old wife, Caitlin Tracy. We just learned he is being held on $2 million bond, in addition to a sentence for domestic violence against Tracy in Berrien County, Michigan. The I-Team obtaining a police report of an incident in Chicago that sheds light on Beckering's behavior after his wife's death, behavior that earned him a new charge of contempt of court. The June report from Chicago police contains the words exposing, screaming, defecated, and without permission. At Adam Beckering's sentencing hearing for domestic violence against his wife, Caitlin Tracy, in Michigan, he received a new charge of contempt of court after this incident at a Concentra urgent care clinic in the Westtown neighborhood.
Consuming alcohol appeared to be intoxicated and showed intimidating, threatening behavior towards employees of Concentra urgent care. Testing.
CPD officers were called to the clinic on West Chicago Avenue after Beckerink was there for court-ordered drug testing, according to the judge, and showed clear signs of intoxication. Beckerink, without permission, touched the hand of a worker and asked her out on a date. A short time later, he went into the bathroom, pulled down his pants, exposing himself to the entire staff, then defecated all over the floor and himself before returning to his car, according to the Chicago police report obtained by the I-Team.
That's in violation of those conditions of no assault, abuse, intimidating, threatening, violent, harassing, stalking behavior, consumption or possession. Beckerink
is currently serving a 3-month sentence for domestic violence charges and is now facing a $2 million bond for an out-of-state arrest warrant executed by Chicago police. CPD say Beckerink caused his wife, Caitlin Tracy's death last October by throwing her over the railing of the 24th floor of the east stairwell where he lives, according to a felony complaint filed in Cook County Court and reviewed by the I-Team. Caitlin Tracy's mother, Dr. Monica Tracy, condemning her son-in-law in Berrien County Court.
There is no justice that can heal our pain, no means to bring her back, or to take away the physical and mental brutality this monster caused her, for which he cowardly pled no contest.
Now, the I-Team did reach out to Beckerink's attorney, but we have not yet heard back. He has not waived his extradition, slowing his move to face official murder charges here in Illinois. A lot more to come.
Okay, let's now go back to our presentation here. Book Mama asked how old the victim was. She was 36 years old. And Book Mama said, my brother Ben said he graduated with her. Oh my word. Okay. Yeah, did you just hear all the things that he did? Okay then, that was very disgusting. He's like, remember in Sade Robinson's case? Maxwell Anderson? Yeah, he also defecated. What? Sure, Kathleen R. said so. There wasn't a bench warrant for failure to appear in October 24. If so, that's horrible. He wasn't picked up immediately. Right? Yeah, it doesn't seem like there was one. Thank you so much for your sticker. Now, trigger warning, we're discussing what has been cited in media reports from Caitlin's autopsy. They said that she was barely identifiable when police found her body, as revealed by a horrific autopsy, which details the extent of her injuries. She'd suffered a myriad of injuries. Her lower leg was severed during the fall. Investigators found her foot on the 2nd floor and her body on the 5th. Cocaine and tadalafil, primarily used to treat male erectile dysfunction, were also found in Tracy's system. So Caitlin Tracy is her name, right? Raising even more questions about what happened during her final hours. That drug is the active ingredient in Cialis, which is a stronger version of Viagra, but it can also be used to treat enlarged prostates and high blood pressure. That was found in her system. She suffered multiple skull fractures and a deep, gaping laceration on the back of her head, which was so deep the cranial content was exposed. Her face and neck were covered with deep cuts and dark bruises, and her nose was badly broken.
Okay.
She also suffered an 11-inch laceration on her torso, and the coroner noted a 12 by 10-inch area of intense black and brown abrasions on her back. Caffeine was detected in her bloodstream too, along with painkillers, acetaminophen, tramadol, and hydrocodone. She was wearing a black shirt and pants when she died. So, he may have tortured and abused her for who knows how long.
Tap screen, please. Tap screen, tap screen.
Allegedly throwing over that railing.
Please tap
the injuries
screen.
could also be caused from being thrown over the railing. I'm sure they'll get into more details at the trial, right? But yeah, this guy is the worst. So, her parents said no matter how much we tried to save her, she was caught in a cycle of control. He's a monster, said Caitlin's mother, Dr. Monica Tracy, during a statement directly to a judge in Michigan. It isn't just her death that haunts us, it's the slow-moving destruction of her life. And I referenced Laura Richards earlier from the Crime Analyst podcast and Crime Analyst YouTube channel. She's an expert offering courses in domestic violence, coercive control, stalking, harassment, all of that, right? And she calls it murder in slow motion when she refers to coercive control and domestic violence. So here, shame. Dr. Monica Tracy, Caitlin's mother, is saying it's the slow-moving destruction of her life, which is very accurately described, right? And so it's slow-moving, but also so quickly from when she met him. I mean, her life changed completely within months, and she would not have seen it coming, right? Lenny said, you work so hard to investigate these cases, Gisela. Thank you so much. Thank you for being a member for 47 months. That's amazing. Thank you so much, Lenny. So there's also a quote I've got here. I'll put many sources in the description box. I'll put them all in afterwards once we're done with the live stream here. Her mom said, the defendant pled no contest to this case, we'll get to that now, so he could avoid describing the brutal acts and crimes he inflicted on Caitlin. Monica Tracy said, Judge, please know that our daughter never stood a chance against this brute. She was only 4'11". She weighed 103 pounds. Tracy's mother says that she was hardworking, smart, and loved by friends and family. She told the judge that they did everything to try and save her from the ongoing abuse that she allegedly suffered at the hands of Beckerink. Instead of meeting our daughter for dinner, my husband and I visit her grave. That is so sad. Oh my goodness. Monica Tracy said, there's no justice that can heal our pain, no means to bring her back, or to take away the physical and mental brutality this monster caused her. Oh man. Okay, so on June 17th of 2025,
Tap screen.
ruled, remember he was arrested in March of 2025 on the outstanding DV charges and not going to that court hearing and all that? Okay, so June 17th of 2025, a Michigan judge ruled that during a court hearing that video evidence, including a 911 call and police body cam footage of Caitlin Tracy accusing Adam of abuse, could be admitted at trial for the domestic violence case. During a court-ordered drug test at a Concentra urgent care clinic, we saw a clip of that a moment ago, in Chicago's West Town neighborhood, Adam exhibited disruptive and intoxicated behavior. This included, as the clip said, consuming alcohol, acting threatening, intimidating towards staff, inappropriately touching a worker, exposing himself, and defecating on the floor. Yeah, in front of a lot of people. Okay then, Chicago police responded and filed a report. This incident violated his pretrial condition, prohibiting assaultive, abusive, or intoxicating behavior, leading to an additional contempt of court charge. Okay. October 20th to the 21st of 2025. That's so recent. Right now it's November 7th of 2025. Adam pleaded no contest in Berrien County, Michigan, to domestic violence charges from the January and August 2024 incidents, plus one count of contempt for violating bond. So he decided, nope, this is not going to go to trial. I'm just going to plead no contest and accept my sentence. And what was his sentence for all that? Before the murder charge, he was sentenced to 93 whole days. In Berrien County Jail, followed by 2 years of probation.
Really?
Wow. During sentencing, he expressed grief for the loss of his wife. Are you kidding me? While her mother describes him as a monster. The judge ordered psychological, substance abuse, and threat evaluation. Hello, Earth to everybody, threat evaluation. Huge threat. Danger to society, to everybody. And yeah, they had not filed murder charges yet, but that's what he got. 93 days, Forrest Nelson says 93 days, that's a hand slap. That is so shocking. I cannot imagine what her family must have felt, because this was 2 weeks before he was charged with murder. Okay? So at that point, imagine being in their shoes at that point and being like, that's it? You're gonna sentence this guy to 93 days in jail? Ooh, I would be so mad. I'd be so mad. Oh my goodness. And then he still has the audacity to say, yeah, I'm expressing grief for the loss of my wife. Just shut up, dude. Loss. Please. He allegedly murdered her. Okay. And abused her a lot. So, Adam began serving his sentence immediately. Adam Beckering pleaded no contest to domestic violence charges for 2 incidents at Tracy's home in New Buffalo, Michigan. He also pleaded guilty to 1 count of contempt for violating his bond and was given 93 days for both counts. He said, I did lose my wife and I've been unable to grieve for her.
Please.
He said, I miss my wife every day. I love her more than anything. Yeah, who are you trying to gaslight now, bro?
No.
So there was no trial in the Michigan domestic violence case because he pleaded no contest to charges of domestic violence and interfering with a 911 call made by his wife. This deal meant the resisting arrest charges he previously faced were dropped. Janet, welcome. Okay, so we have that. Now, let's see. Then, thankfully, October 27th to 28th, 2025. A felony complaint was filed in Cook County, Illinois, charging Adam Beckerink, 47, with 1 count of first-degree murder. Now we're talking, okay, for allegedly causing Caitlin's death. A Cook County judge issued an arrest warrant. Now, Adam was already incarcerated in Berrien County, Michigan, and he's being held on a fugitive warrant. He must complete his 93-day Michigan sentence before extradition to Chicago, which will be approximately January 21st-ish of 2026. He has not entered a plea yet. Wow. So, yeah, complete your little sentence. Then you're going to be extradited. You're going to face first-degree murder charges. And hopefully LWOP, if convicted. Tracy's family released the following statement once the new development was announced. 1 year ago today, we learned that Caitlin Tracy, our beloved daughter and sister, was found deceased at the bottom of a stairwell in Adam Beckering, Chicago South Loop condominium building, having plummeted 24 stories. He will now be charged with her first-degree murder. Only a week ago, the Adam Beckering, a convicted felon, was sentenced in Michigan for interfering with Caitlin's cell phone and a domestic violence committed against her. Today, he sits in a Michigan jail for his actions. Today's charges of first-degree murder against Adam Beckering is another big step in the path to obtain justice for Caitlin. We are very grateful for the dedicated work of the Chicago Police Department. Our family especially thanks Detective Michael Carroll, the lead detective, and his team for their unceasing efforts on behalf of Caitlin. Our family is also deeply thankful to Cook County State's Attorney, Eileen O'Neill Burke, who has made cases involving domestic violence such as Caitlin's a law enforcement priority. Both the Chicago Police Department and Miss O'Neill Burke's office have been tireless in their efforts to obtain justice on behalf of Caitlin. We dearly miss Caitlin, as do her friends. Our family hopes that during the murder case against Adam Beckering, that the truth about the last moments of Caitlin's life and events leading to her tragic death are revealed, so our wonderful daughter can be laid to rest. Whoa, so yeah, okay, so we've got that, and now I want to show you there's 3 more clips here. Let's look at this one.
Michigan woman who was found dead in a South Loop high-rise last October. Chicago police have now arrested Caitlin Tracy's husband on an outstanding warrant. Court records obtained by Fox 32 show Chicago police arrested 46-year-old Adam Beckering, a prominent Chicago tax attorney, on a fugitive arrest warrant issued out of Berrien County, Michigan. That arrest took place Friday at Beckering's 24th floor condo in the South Loop residential building, the same building where his wife died last October. The body of 36-year-old Caitlin Tracy was found at the bottom of a stairwell in the building, her body pulverized and missing a foot, according to police reports. Beckering's arrest Friday is related to domestic violence charges filed in Berrien County, where Tracy lived in this New Buffalo home before and during her marriage to Beckering. Court documents show officers responded to Tracy's home in January of last year and, quote, observed Tracy had cuts on her lips and other red markings. That complaint goes on to say that Tracy told them that Beckering, quote, had assaulted her and stolen some of her items. In August, police responded to Tracy's house again. This is cell phone video of Beckering being taken into custody. In total, Beckering was charged with 6 felony counts, including domestic violence and resisting arrest.
She said, I felt like he was going to kill me.
Last December, Tracy's neighbors in New Buffalo told Fox 32 that Tracy described being in a tumultuous marriage.
In her words, he had cut her off from her friends and from her family, and even explained that, she was no longer working. It felt very much the way she was describing it to me, and you were there, I think, at the time, that she was very isolated.
Beckering did not show up at his pre-trial hearing in October. And days later, when the trial was supposed to start, Beckering was being held in Chicago for questioning related to his wife's death. The fugitive warrant that resulted in his arrest Friday is believed to be related to those missed court appearances in Michigan.
Okay, so let's look at this next one here.
Woman in a South Loop condo building in October. Her autopsy results are still pending. No charges have been filed in connection with her death, and police have not named any suspects. Caitlin Tracy was found dead at the bottom of a stairwell nearly 6 weeks ago after falling more than 20 floors.
Now, we know that's where her tragic story ends, but it begins on the other side of the lake in Michigan. Our Casey Cronus traveled to New Buffalo, where Tracy owned a home, and talked to her neighbors. Casey.
Come on back.
Her neighbors. Casey joining us in studio with more on what they are sharing.
That's right, John and Scott. And the women you hear from say Caitlin Tracy went back and forth between Chicago and Michigan. Her neighbors say she seemingly had it all together, but share with us that in recent months they saw signs of trouble.
Great personality, very friendly, funny, sarcastic, very comfortable in her own skin.
On a quiet street in the Michigan.
Shame. She was so absolutely beautiful, successful. This can happen to anyone. It's really, really sad. So I like to highlight cases like this as well, because there's a lot of safety lessons embedded in here, right? There's things one can learn from this, because once you see the DV pattern, you can't unsee it. It's all the same. It's like these jackasses have a textbook or what? Do they have a manual that they all study? Whew, it's frustrating. Oh my goodness, and so sad.
In beach town of New Buffalo, neighbors say a vibrant young woman moved in during the pandemic.
Like a lot of people from Chicago came this way to get away from the city during that time.
Joyce Lance has lived on the block for more than a decade, while Bunny Coiner moved to the neighborhood about a year ago. Both of them say they got to know Caitlin Tracy, or CT as they called her, as a friendly and kind neighbor.
I would consider her a neighbor. I would consider her a friend, someone that, we would always say hello to. They came to, graduation parties at our house.
Very bubbly, very personable. Again, just willing to talk and chat and say, hey, we should have a glass of wine together sometime. And she knew a lot of the neighbors. She would visit with the neighbors. She would walk down to the lake.
They also say Caitlin, at separate times, gave them a tour of her home.
It was beautifully decorated. You could tell that she loved to cook, and she loved wines, and walked us through some of the things that were in her kitchen. And so I guess my first impression of her was that I was duly impressed.
But now the house is...
Her mom also said she loved cooking, she loved art, she really had a lot to live for. And then unfortunately she met Adam Beckering in October of 2022. Just think, met him October 2022. By October 2023, she filed a protective order. In October 2024, she was murdered. Wow.
It's quiet. A rug that her neighbors say she washed late in the summer still hangs over the second floor balcony. They tell us it was one of the last weekends Caitlin spent at the home.
You can't go by that house without feeling sick to your stomach that she's no longer here. She really enjoyed it up here. She really, really did. And I felt very bad for her that she was afraid to be here.
Coiner and Lance tell us Caitlin described being in a tumultuous marriage, particularly a disturbing incident in August.
She said, I I felt like he was going to kill me.
Before hearing their recollection of an alleged domestic disturbance at Caitlin's home in August, we want to take you back to January. A felony complaint we obtained at the Berrien County Courthouse states that officers responded to her home and, quote, observed Tracy had cuts on her lips and other red markings, unquote. The complaint goes on to say that Caitlin told them her husband, Adam Beckering, quote, had assaulted her and stolen some of her items, unquote. The documents add that Beckering allegedly told Caitlin to tell officers her call to 911 was accidental. We've requested information.
Oh my word. So even when she called 911 for help, he's like, you better tell them it was accidental, right? Molly G said, remember, the DV is not a gendered issue. Always a good reminder as well. Also, to remind everyone, please don't victim blame. One needs to educate oneself on domestic violence, coercive control, the dynamics of that, why victims feel like they can't leave. Sometimes they can't leave. They are isolated. They are abused. Their life is being threatened, right? So it's really sad. Kathleen says she really does remind me of Amy. Yeah, if you guys haven't seen my coverage of Dr. Amy Horwick's case, you can just type in Amy Horwick Grizzly True Crime in the YouTube search bar and you should find it. I will also link it in the description box for you. So, I mean, this guy, by the sounds of it, is a major abuser, and then
very much.
It sounds like he abuses substances as well. So I think the whatever, you know, streak he has in him, which is absolutely disgusting, what an abuser, it must be so violent when you add substances, right? Because that seems to be a pattern of his as well. Even the whole contempt of court charge, defecating in front of people, exposing himself, all the things he did there, wow. So, not even behind closed doors, like out in public, he's a complete monster, right? Okay.
From Berrien County officials on the status of that case and are awaiting a response.
In her words, he had cut her off from her friends and from her family, and even explained that she was no longer working. It felt very much the way she was describing it to me, and you were there, I think, at the time, that she was very isolated.
The neighbors say Caitlin traveled back and forth between her home and Beckering's South Loop condo in the same building where she was found dead in a stairwell. In August, the women tell us they had one of their last encounters with Caitlin. It was the night Coiner took this video of police responding to Caitlin's house. We contacted the Berrien County Sheriff's Office, who sent us this mugshot from the incident. It's of 46-year-old Adam Beckering, Caitlin's husband. Court documents state Beckering was charged with 4 counts, including domestic violence and resisting and obstructing from that August 19th incident. We've requested details from the Berrien County Courthouse on the status of that case, but have not yet received any information about where the charges stand today.
After they took Adam away in handcuffs, I sent Caitlin, or CT, a text message, and I said, are you okay? Do you need me to come down? I'm used to seeing her as somebody that's very independent and somebody that can just handle things on her own. And I was surprised when she said, yes, can you come down?
Coiner says she also went over to check on Caitlin.
CT was wrapped in a shawl and she was crying and she was shaken.
Inside Caitlin's home, Lance and Coiner say Caitlin painted a troubling picture.
Sorry, I'm just going to quickly pause.
She said,
Kathleen said, sounds like another abuser we know, Mr. Double Nostril Ali Abulaban. Glad you have forgotten his name. Miranda A, body cam like that, and the documents and things. Grizzly Cat and I are working on getting that. So I haven't seen it separately shown. You're welcome to email it to me. I'd like to take a look. Email me if you guys find any more information on this. You're welcome to email me, grizzlytruecrime@gmail.com. This is our initial conversation about this case, and I will certainly be keeping you posted.
To me that they were down at our small little grocery store down the street, and she said, I have no idea what I said, but I must have said something that upset him. They got home, and he was mad, and he was angry, and she said, I let him know that I'm locking the doors, and I'm not letting you in until you can take a deep breath. Apparently, then he went around to the sunroom in the back of the house and came in. She tried to run and get away. She describes hiding underneath the dining room table. She described him pulling her out by her hair. She described at some point during all of this grabbing her phone and calling 911.
We've submitted a FOIA request for the 911 call and body camera footage from that night, but have not yet received a response. 10 days later, the women each received this text.
CT sent this on August 29th at 1:07 p.m. Bunny and Joyce, thank you for being fabulous neighbors. Your support and space has meant the world to me.
I've been to court twice since you were last over, and yesterday was tough, but moving forward and have a great advocate in the prosecutor's office. Now it's time for me to rebuild and move forward with a calmer and healthier life and future relationships.
We now know 2 months later, Caitlin would be found dead in the South Loop. We've made several attempts to reach Adam Beckering's attorney, asking for comment. Once again, no charges have been filed against.
But now they have first-degree murder charges, right? So we went over that timeline, and I've got one more to show you here. One more clip to show you. Also, I did show some of the body cam from August of 2024. So yeah, when he's like, "Baby, help me," while getting arrested. Help me? What do you mean, dude? You've just relentlessly abused Caitlin to the point where she called 911. And the police are arresting him on a domestic violence charge because they could see the physical injuries at the time. And he screams, "Baby, help me." Like, what the hell? And yeah, then she was allegedly thrown over a railing off the balcony of from the 24th floor of a building. Also earlier somebody said, hold on one second, Helen O'Hara White said foot maybe got caught in a railing and pulled with force. What a horrific death. I know, right? Oh my goodness. Okay, so let's go here.
Arraigned on new contempt of court charges and sentenced to more than 3 months in jail for domestic violence and contempt charges after pleading no contest to abusing his wife, Caitlin Tracy. Tracy's mother giving an impassioned speech in her victim impact statement in court as Beckering's future remains uncertain. Dr. Monica Tracy, mother of late 36-year-old Caitlin Tracy, standing beside her husband Andrew, speaking directly to the judge about her son-in-law, Adam Beckering, saying he systematically manipulated and abused their daughter.
Our daughter never stood a chance against this brute. She was beaten, bruised, and battered by this brute. And then he is the ultimate controlling coward, and he took away her cell phone so she could not summon help.
Speaking with steely resolve and the pain of a grieving mother, Monica Tracy asked the judge to impose the strictest penalty he could against the man she says she believes is inextricably tied to her daughter's death nearly 1 year ago, describing...
And then he got 93 days at that time, before he was charged with first-degree murder, right?
Yep.
Shame.
Court system ain't shit.
15-minute speech to the judge.
Court system ain't worth a damn.
He was sentenced to 93 days and 2 years probation. That is terrible.
The abuse Caitlin said she faced in her application for a protective order against her husband, as a Chicago police detective listened in the Michigan courtroom.
Strangling me, suffocating me, slamming my head against a cabinet, putting my head on a headlock, and dragging me away from the door.
Tracy was found dead at the bottom of a stairwell in the South Loop high-rise where Beckering lives. Her foot partially severed, her body pulverized after falling 24 stories. Chicago police reports show Beckering had reported his wife missing the day before, saying he hadn't seen her in weeks. However, information obtained by the ABC 7i team shows Beckering was taken into custody by Chicago police for what investigators said were inconsistencies in the report he made. Beckering is a suspect in his wife's death, but has not been charged.
We are witnesses to the physical and psychological bruises and scars our daughter endured from this defendant. But in the end, the coercive control he had over her was too great for her, and she was lost.
Beckering pleaded no contest to domestic abuse charges after body camera video and 911 calls of a domestic incident were played in court.
Instead of meeting our daughter for dinner, my husband and I visit her grave. There is no justice that can heal our pain.
Beckerink let out of court in handcuffs by sheriff's deputies to begin his sentence. A family spokesperson said...
Then he was charged with first-degree murder after that. Thank goodness, right? Okay, so that is the start of our conversation about Caitlin Tracy's case. I will keep you posted. As I say, Grizzly Cat and I are working on getting as many documents as we can. Maybe we can get the arrest body cam and anything else that we can obtain at this point. So I'll keep you posted on the next developments in this case. Of course, he's first got to finish his 93-day sentence. So in January, at the end of January, we'll look again to see what happens next in his first-degree murder charges case, right? Okay, so... Stefan said, no victim blaming or shaming. Please don't victim blame or shame. I must also show you the DV distress signal. This is the domestic violence distress signal. If you see someone doing that, then you know that they are asking for help and they're asking you to call the police, right? So do that and also teach it to others so that they know what it means if somebody's doing that. It's a non-verbal way, of course. Instead of just making shifty eyes or trying to communicate it, that signal means I need help. An abuser, right? So that's what that means. Ether Bunny, thank you for being a member for 28 months. You said so much coercive control. There should be much stiffer penalties. These judges should never be put on. Wait, these judges should never be put on parole. Yeah, the judges should never put the offenders on parole, right? You said, what the heck are they thinking? That's very dangerous, right? Where's the cat says thank you. Thank you so much. And yes, everyone, stay safe. If you are in a situation involving domestic violence, know that there is lots of help out there. There's shelters you can call. I think a lot of people also don't talk about it. They get trapped because of the shame that they experience in these situations, you know, because people always say, well, why don't they tell people? Caitlin told her parents, right? But they say, why don't they tell people? Why don't they this? And a lot of people victim blame. They feel a tremendous amount of shame and they are being controlled, as in every aspect of their life. Psychologically being controlled, emotionally, financially often as well. It's terrible. So, yeah, the only way I think is to educate, to help people break patterns, right? I really hope that, yeah, the only way I think is to educate, to help people break patterns, right? I really hope that people can learn from this and that anyone experiencing this will be okay. Okay, everyone. Thank you so much. This case is it's so sad, right? It's horrifying. I will keep you posted. Leave some comments below as well. Please be kind, and I will let you know what's next. Bye, everyone.
I thank y'all for being here. Again, I thank y'all for being here. If you are in a domestic violence situation, there's many places that can help. Please do not be afraid to use those resources. And with that being said, if you see something, say something. I'll see y'all later. Peace.